Let's take a look at some functions available with Cisco Identity Services Engine or Cisco ISE. We'll start off by examining the two authentication, authorization, and accounting or AAA protocols supported. AAA is basically used to authenticate users, authorize what they can do when connected, and keep an accounting of what they're doing. The first AAA protocol is Radius, which is a distributed client-server solution designed to block unauthorized access to the network. The Radius client process runs on Cisco devices which are designated as Network Access Devices or NADs. When a user or device attempts to access the network, the NAD challenges the device and sends the authentication request to the Radius server running on Cisco ISE, which in turn references an internal or external database. When successfully authenticated, then network access is granted to the client. There are three mechanisms that can be used when clients connect to the network: IEEE 802.1x, MAC Authentication Bypass or MAB, and Web Authentication or WebAuth. 802.1x is the strongest method and should be used. However, administrators can configure MAB and WebAuth as fallback mechanisms if the type of client to be connected is unknown. For example, a device can be configured so that if 802.1x authentication times out, MAB can be used to authenticate. If MAB authentication fails, then WebAuth can be used. Let's take a closer look at each mechanism. First, 802.1x is a client-server-based access control and authentication protocol designed to restrict unauthorized clients from connecting to publicly accessible LAN ports. This can be wired, wireless, or a VPN connection. A client or supplicant connects to a NAD or authenticator that challenges and forwards the access request to an authentication server, which must validate the client's request before any services are offered to the LAN. Next, MAB is used to authenticate the MAC addresses of endpoints that do not have the ability to perform 802.1x, such as printers. In order to use MAB, a centralized database of MAC addresses for all trusted endpoints in the network must be created and maintained. When an endpoint is connected, the NAD examines a single packet to learn the source MAC address and validate it as a defined trusted device. Once the MAB authentication process has succeeded, the endpoint identity is now known and all of the subsequent traffic from that MAC address is allowed. Lastly, WebAuth is a Layer 3 authentication mechanism that works with any client running a browser. This makes it easier for contractors, vendors, and others with unmanaged devices to gain access to the network without having to install any special software. For example, a guest portal could be configured for people who wish to use the company's network to gain access to the internet or even access certain resources and services provided on the network. Moving on, the second AAA protocol supported by Cisco ISE is TACX+, which is typically used for device administrators who must access network devices. When connecting to a network device, the administrator can use SSH, Telnet, HTTP, HTTPS, or a direct serial port connection. When a network device is configured for TACX+, a username and password is requested. The device queries the Cisco ISE server with the credentials provided, which in turn references an internal or external database to authenticate the device administrator. After a successful session has been established, only the authorized commands can be issued and the activity can be logged by the accounting feature. A quick comparison of the two AAA protocols reveals that Radius uses UDP while TACX+ uses TCP. Radius encrypts the password only and TACX+ encrypts the entire body of the packet, adding a TACX+ header. And Radius combines authentication with authorization while TACX+ follows the AAA architecture by separating all three AAA functions.